Good morning and welcome to our last big project of the semester. We are now in week 12 and our focus for the remainder of the semester is going to be on evaluations. What you will see is that the practices and skills that you have utilized all semester through research, rhetoric, analyzing materials, synthesizing, getting different perspectives, all of that is utilized in this project. Being objective and being able to research with an objective stance where it's non-biased and not emotion-driven, but fact-driven, research-driven. And that really is what academic writing is, and that's what business writing is. And so this week, or for the remainder of this semester, we are going to focus on evaluations. And I like to do this to end the semester because I think it's a little bit more interesting. It's again, more of those life application skills of really what is evaluated. We do it all the time. I've been doing it to you guys. You've been doing it to yourselves. It's where you are creating something and then you're evaluating it in order to make it better. And that's typically what the core of evaluation is we're looking for how can we do things better. If it's a business, evaluating how you can be more profitable. If it is you as a student and you are evaluating your work or another student's work, you're evaluating the quality of that work in order to move further ahead to improve upon what you're doing. As a teacher, we're constantly evaluating you, where you are at, what can we do in order to assist you and walk alongside of you. And we do that through editing your papers and help to move you in the right direction. We evaluate all the time. Anytime that you purchase something, anytime that you go to the comment section to get feedback on a specific product, you are in the evaluation process. And so every one of you guys has actually evaluated something at some point. If you are going into behavior management or any type of social services, you will be evaluating patients, trying to figure out what it is and how you can best help them. And there's certain strategies in order for you to evaluate. If you're in business, you're evaluating data to see if your practices are profitable and mainstreamed, and you're not wasting money and you're not wasting resources. If you're in education, we're constantly evaluating students through the standardized testing, which everybody hates, but the original intent of a standardized test was to really gauge to see what information students were retaining in order for us as educators, again, to walk alongside of students in order to help continue to move them forward and strengthen those skills or any weaknesses that they have. If you are in the medical industry, you are evaluating patients, you're evaluating their symptoms in order to find a diagnosis. If you are in pharmacology and really utilizing that with the medical field of when you're giving a patient medicine, you're continuing to evaluate that patient to make sure that that medicine is being helpful for them. And if not, making those modifications. Evaluation is about finding truths and researching and really looking at data objectively in order to make sound judgment decisions. And it is in every profession. Every profession. It may look a little different, but it's still at the core the same. Research at the core is the same. Analysis at the core is the same. And so again, all of these skills that we have been utilizing throughout the semester, you will be, again, practicing for this final project. And this is like your exam because everything that we've learned this entire semester, from learning how to write academically utilizing MLA format with in-text citations, how to properly format a paper, being able to follow those guidelines, being able to research and correct in order to give the product that is the expectation. And so how we're writing objectively in an academic manner, in a professional manner, not in a conversational manner where you're using contractions in first and second person. That's not professional and it's not academic. And that's why there's such a really to move you in that direction of becoming more professional in how you are phrasing your material, how you're organizing your papers in a logical manner, because many of you will be writing in your professions, and how are you going to give that communication? How are you going to present any research or communication that you have in a logical manner in order for it to be received in the manner in which you have intended it to be received? So again, all these skills that we have been learning throughout the semester really culminates in this final project. So what I would also encourage is to go back to your old papers. What are the comments that were given? When you were given those opportunities to revise your papers, did you take those comments into consideration as you continue to move forward? Even if it's with the academic piece of it, if you're constantly getting points taken off because a format, works cited page isn't correct, your in-text citations aren't correctly formatted, I've given resources for you. However, if those are not helpful, the internet is full of resources in order to help you correct those areas. And so, what are you doing in order to move forward from the feedback that you're given? When you're given feedback, it's not negative. Even with evaluations, it's not meant in a negative manner. It's an objective evaluation of whatever it is that you're evaluating in order for you to grow, improve, fine-tune. It's not meant as a personal attack at all. That's what evaluations are. Sometimes the result of an evaluation can be positive, and you have that confirmation of, okay, I'm doing things correctly, I'm moving in the right direction. Sometimes evaluations may not be great. Does it mean that the information is not true? You may not like the evaluation, but if based on research, facts, and that's the final outcome of that, it is so we can improve. As employees, we are constantly being evaluated by our bosses, and for a myriad of things, in order to receive pay raises and promotions and things of that nature. Again, evaluations are in every aspect of life, every profession. It's just, what is the purpose of the evaluation? That's key. What is the purpose of the evaluation that you are conducting? And that's going to move us into, again, our final project. So the first thing I do want to go through is that chapter 11 in your textbook, and it starts on page 120, discusses evaluations. And really, and even in the beginning part of it, it kind of gives you some examples of different types of evaluation. So I'm going to help to define really where we're heading with our final project. And again, it's just reiterating, it's a part of our lives. We do it all the time. So the first thing that you have to do with any project is identify the purpose of the project. And so in this case, the purpose of this project is that you guys are evaluating a company or an organization. And I'm going to fill that out a little bit more by utilizing their vision and their mission statements. Every company, be it for-profit or nonprofit, anytime that you're going to go get a loan, you're sharing business plans. In order to create an organization or a business, you have to have a vision statement and a mission statement, because whomever is lending you that money in order to start this business or organization needs to know that to see if it's something that's viable. Even your college, Richard Bland College of William & Mary, has a vision and a mission statement. And I'd actually pointed that out. So the mission of Richard Bland College is to prepare students for university transfer through academically rigorous programs grounded in liberal arts, tradition of William & Mary, and to expand access to college credentials through strategic partnerships, specialized programming, and scalable innovation. That's the mission. That's the purpose of why Richard Bland College of William & Mary isn't the institution that it is. That's their mission. The vision statement gives more of a long-term goal. As an extension of William & Mary, Richard Bland College is in the vanguard of learning outcomes-based liberal arts education for university transfer and a model for testing and applying outcome-driven solutions in higher education. And so again, it's giving that long term. How are they going to do it? And to break this down, and you do want to put this in your notes because I am going to assess you on that. What is the difference between a mission statement and a vision statement? And they do work in tandem together. So a mission statement defines the company's business, its objectives, and its approach to reach those objectives. Mission statements typically are like one-liners. I know, if you're in a Christian school, to educate hearts and minds for Christ, and it's a one sentence. Usually it's like a tagline kind of thing. The mission statement for Richard Bland is a little bit more extensive. Typically, they're not super long. A vision statement describes the desired future position of the company. So if you think about it, if I have a vision to do something, it means that's a long term. I have goals that I'm going to that this is where I'm heading and this is what I want to end up doing. Elements of a vision and mission statements are often combined to provide a statement of the company's purposes, goals, and values. And I like this, and I'm just going to be legit with you. I got it off Google. I looked it up, and you could look it up too. So, and I just thought that it was very to the point of really what that is. So you do need to know the difference between the vision and the mission statement. And the reason is that this is going to be a core component of this project. You're going to choose a company or an organization. The first source that you're going to find is their webpage. Their home webpage, the main webpage, not a secondary source. So if you are going to use if you're going to use Richard Bland College of William and Mary, you would put in Google, what is the vision and mission statement of Richard Bland College of William and Mary? If you're going to use in an organization or like a nonprofit, what is the vision and mission statement of the Wounded Warrior Project? And I'd given some examples in your packet of different organizations. It could be for-profit or not-profit. And to me, especially with the nonprofit organizations, I think a lot of controversy can surround some of our nonprofits because, they are not for profit. The only reason that they run is by donations and people supporting that. And people are supporting a vision. They're supporting their mission. And where some nonprofits kind of get in trouble is if they're not good stewards with the money that people are entrusting them with in order to complete that mission, and that money goes somewhere else. And so that's a part of evaluation. Are they upholding the vision and the mission statement that they have stated that they're going to stand by? For-profit organizations, granted, they are they're mainly selling a service or a product. And where some of those companies get into trouble is, what if they're making this profit and they're selling it for exorbitant amounts of money, and then you find out, and this has happened a lot, I think it happened with Nike, where they were using sweatshops in third world countries where people were making like $5 a week. I'm being exaggerating, so I don't know for sure, so don't, quote me on that. But they were making a lot of money off the backs of children, people in low-income countries. That happens a lot. And does that change a view or a consumer perspective of that company? Yeah. When you find out, do you want to support a company that is taking advantage of, the hardships of other countries outside of the United States? If it is a company that says made in the USA, and then you start to do your evaluations and find out where is their product being made, do they treat their employees well, or you find out that they're not making their product, it's coming from India, it's coming from China. And so have they gone against their vision and their mission statement? So that has to be core. So whatever company or organization that you're choosing, you want to you need to look at their vision statement and their mission statement, because that is going to give you a direction and that foundation of all of your research to come back to, are they supporting this vision and mission statement? Because you're evaluating their integrity. You're in the community, and as consumers, you need to know that. So it is kind of interesting when you look at it. So you do need to know the difference between a vision and a mission statement, and really what is the purpose of each. Okay, so like I said, I just Googled it. I said, define, or what's the difference between a vision and a mission statement, and that popped up. And I actually am using that because it's to the point, and I thought that it really defined it well. So every organization has to have one. Every organization and company has to have a website. So for this particular project, because it is a 10-page paper, you have to have at least 6 core sources. That's source number 1. And I'm expecting to see the actual website for that company or that organization, because that's where you're going to find out a lot of information, and that's really going to spearhead your research. When you're getting farther into that, because this week you guys are to identify the company or organization and why you're choosing it. And it could be that, this is an organization that, that you maybe have been supporting, or that you want to find out more about, but you have to really defend why you're using this company or organization. Maybe that you did hear some things, some rhetoric about that company or organization, and you want to research it for truths. Is this a true statement? And you're going to have that a lot in because not one person is going to be everything to everyone, and you're always going to have positives and negatives. I mean, we see that all the time. So what you're doing, it could be something that you have heard about, and then you want to search for truth yourself, and really to find out, are these things that are being said about this company true or not? So defend it. And your initial thread, all initial threads have to be in by this Wednesday evening by 11:59. Okay, because I am going to be looking through those, and the sooner that you can get that posted in the discussion board, the better, because then I can give you some feedback. And I will be actually posting, looks good, continue to move forward. If I have, if I feel like maybe it's either too broad, or it's maybe doesn't have enough substance, because maybe it's a new company, and you do need to think about that. This is a 10-page paper. I'm not going to bend on that. So you want to make sure that whatever company or organization that you're choosing has been around for a while, and actually has some data, has some research that's behind it, that you're able to grab hold of. So if I am looking at that and I think that you may not have enough there in order to support the page count, and that you're going to really have solid research to make that outcome at the end, then we'll chat, and so you can get that modified, because you guys have to locate your sources this week, and you have an annotated bibliography that is due this Sunday on your 6 core sources. Can you go over 6? Absolutely. But I will tell you, I've given 10-page papers for many, many years now. If you have 6 really good core sources, you should be able to do this comfortably. And so you're really wanting each one of those sources to bring a wealth of information to the table. If you find a source and you're only getting one thing out of it, that's really not a substantial core source. Again, you can go outside of that, and we'll talk about that later in class as we're continuing to move through this process. But you really want to make sure that you are looking at your resources. Do not just come across the first thing that you see. You'll also see that there is a there is clarification and more specifics regarding your sources. They have to be 3 primary, 3 secondary sources. And if you do not know the difference, please make sure that you look that up and you understand the difference between primary sources and secondary sources. Okay, so just be very mindful with that. And again, we'll chat through that during class on Wednesday and Thursday this week. But again, your annotated bibliography is due this weekend, and you know that it's basically the summary of the information that you've extracted. And this really positions you to have already gotten into the research, and so you're giving some time to really develop this project to be something substantial, because you have a month. So, but that's why I break it down, so you are prepared, and it's not this push at the end in order to create that. Okay, so make sure that this week, Wednesday, all topics with your reasoning has to be no less than 300 words as to the topic and why you chose it. your reply threads for that. You have 2 reply threads that are due on Sunday that you're responding. It could be that, you have an initial impression of why you want to do it. If I was reading it and I was like, hey, this is another aspect of this company, and giving some feedback, your reply threads have to be no less than 100 words. Please meet those objectives in order to gain full credit for this. Okay, so see it through. The sooner that you get those discussion boards in, the sooner you get the feedback and the sooner they get graded. Okay, especially that we are now in the home stretch of the semester. I cannot stress the importance of every assignment has to be completed. Okay, even though the paper itself is 200 points, your annotated bibliography is 50. Every one of these brings something to the table and can help your final grade and to give you the push that you need. So it becomes instrumental that you stay on course. You will see in your in Canvas that I have created your evaluation project module. So these are resources that you can go to. The instructions for this project are in that module. The rubric for how I'm grading this paper is in this module, because I will do that for final projects because it is such a hefty project. Okay. The discussion boards, any assignments that are leading up to this, it becomes instrumental. You guys will be writing an abstract for me next week, and we're going to be talking about that. So again, even though you have these smaller assignments, it still can help. So please, 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 please make sure that you are doing this. Also, the bigger piece is get these assignments in so I can give you some feedback, so you can correct some things before your final project. Okay, so the annotated bibliography is due this Sunday. You have created one in the past. I strongly encourage you to go back to that previous one, look at your comments to make sure if you need to make any corrections that you're able to do so. Okay. All right. So moving on. All right. So your mission on this is basically, and the purpose of this is to evaluate a company to make sure that it is upholding the vision and mission statements that they've established. Okay. Now, when you've read that again, and I've gone through kind of like how I want you to kind of go through it, or of the giving you some suggestions. Again, do not underestimate the free that free writing exercise of just writing questions. And do not stop, do not edit, just write questions after you've read that mission statement and that vision statement. You have that idea about that company, then I would just brainstorm questions about that. Again, those questions become so important because it can really direct some research in order for you to gain a deeper understanding, in order for your evaluation to be substantial. Okay. Criteria, that's on page 387. Establish criteria. Criteria are the standards by which objects are measured. When readers are likely to, what's the criteria for this? And I've kind of given that. And so you're looking at, okay, this is what they're saying. And so what's the criteria? All right, so criteria for, for your nonprofits. How much money does this nonprofit make a year? How much of this money actually goes to, if you're doing Wounded Warrior, how much of the money actually goes to the Wounded Warrior and how much goes to the administrative costs? If you are looking at an actual company, how much money do they bring in a year? What do they do with that money? What is the quality? Where does that money go? Do they, is this a company that, if they're saying in their mission statement that they want to support the community, are they supporting the community with any of the money, and how much? And so looking at that, you do need to look at finances. You want to see how much money are they bringing in a year, and how are they distributing it? All of that information is public knowledge. Okay. And again, and if you look at the vision and the mission statement, that's rhetoric, folks. How are they standing up to the rhetoric? Okay. Have you found articles about a particular company? The one thing with Nike, that was a big, it was in the news. People had written articles. People had researched on that. So those are credible sources to find out how someone is conducting their business. So, there's tons of things that you can look at in order to really build that case for the evaluation of, How are they conducting their business? How do they treat their employees? I know Hobby Lobby, we look at Hobby Lobby as, Christian organization, in the community, but then you hear the rumblings, they don't treat their employees well. Now, I don't know this for fact or for certain. This is hearsay. This is rhetoric. Just because I hear it doesn't mean it's true. But if it's out there, that means probably somebody's researched it. You know what I'm saying? So you want to look into that. Do not just take hearsay. If you hear a claim where someone is accusatory or they're saying something about a company, if you don't have the evidence to back it up, it's bias and it means nothing. Every claim that you make has to have evidence to back it up. Okay? And when you don't do that, that's under sloppy research, and I don't like that. Okay? Make sure that anything that you are claiming and that you're bringing to the table, it better have proof. Okay? And then what are the consequences of that proof? Okay? All right, claiming a topic. We've already talked about that, but it does give you some ways in order to do that. I've kind of already, fine-tuned that for you. Your topic is evaluating the company or an organization and the rhetoric through their mission and vision statement. So I've kind of already done that. Imagining your audience. Now, the audience can look different. Okay? So if, is it Rue 21? That's their target audience is teenage girls. The clothing store. Victoria's Secret. Women, probably not men. Wounded Warrior Project will be veterans or people who support veterans. Tunnels to Towers, that is like police officers who've fallen in the line of duty to help support their families. United Way, Catholic Charities. I mean, each one of them has a specific target audience. And a thing on Catholic Charities and United Way, some of these nonprofit organizations actually have partnerships with big corporations where if their employees say, okay, I'm going to donate X amount to United Way through their paychecks, so it will be pre-tax dollars to support that organization. Are they utilizing those funds appropriately? How much money are they getting from that? And again, how much money actually goes to their vision and mission as opposed to administration costs. And I feel like United Way has gotten hit on that too. So, I mean, it's very fascinating. The organization, to me, piece of it, especially nonprofit organizations, that's very interesting to really see who has that integrity and that character, and that really are living out that vision and mission statement. A lot of them are. Some of them may not be. Okay. So you got to know who your audience is. And why are they targeting this particular audience? If it's American Diabetes Association, people who either have diabetes or or have family members, because diabetic supplies are so expensive. A lot of those, the money that they raise is so people can get test strips and meters and things of that nature, insulin. So again, it's very interesting. Find out really what is not only their vision and mission, but what is their company? What is, then they're going to break that down for you, and you need to find that out. Imagine your audience, right for experts, general audience, novices, again, kind of fine tuning that. But again, depending upon what company or organization that you're using, that usually, there's a demographic there that they're going after. Gathering materials. This is where you are getting your credible sources. Articles that have been written. Better Business Bureau is a credible source. Better Business Bureau is where they are rating companies. So that's actually very credible. Were there complaints against these companies or organizations? I think that that's something that needs to be looked at. And then if there's a complaint, again, a complaint is still a claim, but what's the evidence to support the complaint? Whatever happened? Did somebody file lawsuits against someone? What was the end result on that? Okay. Decide your criteria. Look hard for criteria. Kind of goes through all that. Argue for criteria that can't be measured. How do you measure the success or failure of something that can't be objectively calculated? statistics, feedback, Better Business Bureau, things of that nature. Okay, so where it may not, and I think one piece of it is money, and because people are supporting these companies either through nonprofit or for profit, they're still supporting them. So I think you'll have statistics either way on that one. Stand by your values. Make sure that you define criteria that apply to more than just the case you're examining at the moment. For instance, you might admire a particular performance or overcame. Now that's more of like if you are doing an evaluation on skills or things of that nature. A lot of those things are measurable things. Gathering your evidence, basically you need to gather that evidence in your core sources this week. Especially those core sources that you're utilizing. Organizing your ideas. Please use an outline. Think about and utilize those questions that you guys are making. That really is telling if you're going through that process. Go back at the beginning of the semester where I have given you guys that chapter that I had created for how to do outlines and how to go through that process. I strongly encourage you to do that. And again, that's something that I did all the way through graduate school. Maximizes your time so you can work smart, spend the bulk of your time in the actual research of it, but it does help you direct it and organizing your ideas. All right, choosing style and design. And I feel like I'm having this comment is something that I am constantly making on all papers. This is high style. We've talked about low, medium, and high, and what each one of those types of styles encompass. All of your academic papers and professional writing needs to be in high style, which means no contractions, no first or second person, no everyday conversational tone. You're not asking me questions. So what would you think? Well, one, I said you, that's second person, that's a no. But can you see how first and second person and contractions, that really is everyday conversation, and it has no place in professional writing or academic writing. Please review the characteristics for that, okay? And make sure that it reflects high style. This is an evaluation, and when you're doing an evaluation on this level, it has to be, it is very clinical. You are just getting the information, presenting the information, and the outcome of the research. There's no emotion. It's not about if you like it or not, honestly. It's about the research. It's about the facts, and what's the outcome of the facts. Your personal opinion has nothing to do with this. Okay. Now, are you taking into account how people view? Yes, but that's a part of research. Has nothing to do with how you're doing it. Now, could it affect long-term how you look at a company? Yes, but the actual research, the actual process itself has nothing to do with what you think. Okay. It has to be objective in nature. It has to be research-driven. Okay. So I'm telling you right now, it has to be high style, which is a formal style of writing. Okay. Now, when we get onto page 134, present your evaluations visually. Now, if you are if you see graphs and things of that nature, and that's fine, but you do not put a graph in the middle of your paper. You can talk about the graph, and then you can reference the graph, and you can place the copy of the graph or whatever visual it is in the appendix. And that is something new. There's going to be a couple new skills. One is going to be the abstract, and the other is having an appendix. The appendix is so you can refer your reader. You talk about it in your paper. You talk about the significance. You just don't mention it. There has to be a significance and why it's important. But if you have a graph or a picture or whatever in the middle of your paper, I'm going to deduct that space. It does not count as a part of your 10 pages of content. Okay, so if you're going to use a paper, or if you're going to use a picture, graph, whatever visual that you have that's going to support a claim that you're making, the picture of the graph has to go in the appendix. The other thing about the appendix is one picture per page. So you can have Appendix A, Appendix B, Appendix C. 3 different pages, 3 different pictures. How do you cite that in your paper? After you have discussed it and you have referenced it in your paper, in parentheses, you put Appendix A or Appendix B, Appendix C, whichever one that it applies to. And that's how, so that the reader knows that you have the visual interpretation of what you just talked about, and they can reference that graph for themselves. Okay, and we'll talk about that more. If you have questions, please let me know in class, and I'll be more than happy to clarify that for you. Your appendix goes after the works cited page. Okay. All right. So again, it can be very powerful. Those visuals can be powerful. I like to look at stuff like that. I think that's very interesting, especially when you're seeing comparison contrasts. And I do go look at those things, but I don't want to see it in your paper. It has to be in the appendix. I want you to talk about it, because if you have it in the appendix, I'm looking for it in your paper. It's just like if you have a bibliography on your works cited page, I'm looking for an in-text citation, because I need to see that you have utilized those sources that you said that you had. Okay. In the end, so basically, and that kind of goes through chapter 11. So 1, I've given you the purpose. You're evaluating a company or a organization. It can be profit or nonprofit, but you do need to identify that in your introduction. You need to use their vision and mission statement as the core of the evaluation that you are completing. And are there practices supporting their vision and their mission statement? And how does that break down? So you have to find out about the company. You have to find out about what it is that they actually do. What services do they provide? If it's a nonprofit situation, how are they getting their money? Who is supporting them? And then how is that money spent? If it is a profit, again, you're looking at the money, and if it's a good company that has integrity and character, you can see that they're, we look at Chick-fil-A. If Chick-fil-A was in charge of majority of government things, we'd have our stuff like that, right? So, do they uphold, and does the money that they're making reflect the integrity that they have shown by living up to their vision and mission statements? So again, it's not always a negative, can be a positive, but you have to really look at all those different aspects. How do they treat their employees? What are the customer reviews? There's a lot of different pieces to that, and really developing those out. Okay, so the evaluation, again, this is what we're going to be working on for the remainder of this semester. Please be diligent in your work. Please do not wait till the last minute to submit assignments. Please submit those assignments, because again, I'm giving you feedback. Okay, and go back and look at your old papers and see what things have been brought to your attention, and make sure that you don't do it on this one, because there is one consistent thread through all these papers. They're all academic in nature, they're all research based, they're all objective in nature, and if you're being called on any of those, then that means that you need to be more mindful of it as we're continuing to move forward. Okay, so I hope this was clear. Again, I did add on the definitions of vision and mission statement, and you do need to know the differences between the two and why they're important. And so again, you can replay the video to get that if you missed it, but if not, Google it. What's the difference between a vision and a mission statement? I think that's about it, and I look forward to seeing you guys in class. I'm really looking forward to this last project, and again, you have the choice to do it. Be diligent in this this ground floor stage of it, because this will make or break your paper. Make sure that you've got a good topic or a good company or organization. Make sure that they've been around for a while. Do not use new organizations. You're not going to have enough juice for the paper. I'm just going to be legit on that. You want somebody who's been around a long time, has a track record, and has some information that you can actually go back and look at. Okay, so that is it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Bye.